bragging, you gotta wait. Ain't no capping, I'm on a date. Money on my mind, it gotta stay. Yeah, I'm on my grind, I can't relate. Chasing dreams, yeah, there's no delay. Why you laughing? No time to play. Showing love, yeah, no need to hate. I'm on time now, I'm never late.
So what's going on, guys? And as you can see by the title below, I think I came up with the ultimate tier list for this game. Now, I know it's, I'm pretty much retired from the comp scene, and the comp scene is not even alive anymore in Demon Slayer as it is. So, I just took a step back, and I kind of looked back at all the characters in the tier list, and I was like, you know what? I think I had like a misunderstanding with some of the characters and how they worked in the game, even though, I am a top tier player myself at the game, and I kind of understand how the game works fundamentally and what characters need to be strong and whatnot. So I took a step back and I made a new tier list, probably the best tier list, one of the best tier lists out there, hands down. I think most of the competitive scene would agree for the most part. Now, of course, it's not ever going to be a perfect tier list, but I think this tier list will definitely show most of it is right than wrong, I should say. I'll put it that way. So I obviously separated it into 5 different tiers like always, and we're gonna start with the bottom tier. This is the I need help tier, which is B tier. Now obviously there's no C or D tier because I feel like it's not, characters can be valuable to an extent, but B is the lowest I'm going to go for this game. So the B tier, I'm going to call this the I need help tier. It's kind of clear as day. Yushiro, Sabito, Makomo, and Inosuke, they all need help. They just need help. They need a lot of buffs to even work good in the game, to be even viable in the game, to compete with every other character. It's using the characters is why use for the most part. Now, me personally, I do like to use Makomo. I think she is super valuable, to be honest. But yeah, inconsistencies, damage wise, they're neutral. They just need a lot of help, to be honest. Now we're gonna go to the A tier, which is the tier that is I have good tools on paper, but I have a few things that hold me back tier. So basically, I think this is kind of perfect where I placed all of them. Shinobu, she has good things about her, level 3 dash speed, but she's just a little bit too squishy, to be honest, and she uses a lot of resources to get in. I feel like there's a few tweaks that could happen to make her viable again. Murata, amazing assist, kind of S tier assist, but on his neutral, as a point character, is pretty mediocre, mid. Rengoku, I had to put Rengoku down here. Now, a lot of people might not agree with this because, bias towards Rengoku, but Rengoku is terrible. I feel like he needs help the most. It's kind of bad how they did this character, how his Blazing Universe is pretty much unsafe if he even hits your guard. He's basically doing unsafe options every time he tries to pressure you, so his only way to get in is just plain old dashing. Now, Blazing Universe itself is a good tool to get in, but after that, you may 9 times out of 10 you have to switch tech, or if he does Flame Tiger, he's getting parried. Basically, he needs some kind of cancels or something like that, or maybe a buff recovery on his grab or something like that, because yeah, he's just not really that viable. Rui, Awake, and Nezuko, they kind of speak for themselves. They have good tools in general. Awake and Nezuko has a great lunge and really high damage, but she's too slow to get in, and her skills have no priority, and she's very combo limited. But the good things about her is she does gain meter the fastest in the game, and she does crack damage for pretty low resources. So like I said, they have good tools on paper, but they just need a few buffs and they will be viable characters. Now we are at the A+ tier, which is basically the tier that I need one more solid buff to be a viable characters in the comp scene, in tournaments, and etc., stuff like that. For example, Giyu, very solid character, good things on paper. He's a really good slayer, can pretty much fight any slayer in the game, but he suffers from his demon matchups. because he's too slow. All he needs is a level 2 dash speed, and I could easily buff him up to S tier. HK Tanjiro is he's like a super strong Slayer character, but I think what really holds him back is that he is like way too squishy. He takes way too much damage. He has a 1.20 damage multiplier, which is way too much for a Slayer in my opinion, so that's what holds him back. Gyutaro, a lot of people is probably going to be like, wow, Gyutaro should be at least S tier in terms of this tier list, but like I said, I think Gyutaro is overhyped. He's still a good character on paper, but I feel like it's not even because he doesn't have a level 3 dash speed, it's because he has no cancels. And since he has no cancels, that makes him basically vulnerable to like heavy switch tech and him getting easily sub baited and stuff like that. If he had cancels, I think I'd move him to like low S tier for the most part, and he takes way too much damage for the lack of neutral that he has. I definitely feel like taking Akaza damage like as Gyutaro is pretty bad, so if they buff that and have him get cancels, he would be an S tier character. Same thing with Inosuke. If he had level 2 dash speed, he'd be easily a S tier character. So hopefully you guys kind of get that, like understand what this tier list, like the A+ tier, is about. So it just kind of sucks how they make these Slayer characters level 1 dash speed. Dash speed can really change a character for the most part. Not all of them, like I said, because Sabito would not be, I don't care if he had level 3 dash speed, he probably wouldn't go that much higher than where he is. Well, obviously he would move up a tier, but you know what I mean. But yeah, like it's kind of sucks that Sakonji, Water Tanjiro, Giyu, and Inosuke suffer from that slow dash speed. That's why they have a lot of losing matchups against like the demons, the top tier demons, because they're too slow or don't have like a good skill to like hold them into neutral without having to switch tech. Now we move to the S tier, which I call the tournament viable characters. These characters pretty much you will see in the tournament more than any of the other characters in the game, like S tier and plus and above, obviously. So these are the characters that you could see in the tournament because of how much they have in terms of winning matchups in the game, and you know how much they can win. So yeah, this tier list, I'm pretty sure in S tier you guys can understand, like for the most part. Yahaba, like he pretty much has a lot of winning matchups. Daki is pretty good, has really good tools as a demon. Edi, Tanjiro, Tengen, like very good characters. They just have a few minor things that stops them from being, you know, another tier above. We have Enmu, obviously, who a lot of people still struggle to play against nowadays, but Enmu is a very strong character still, and so is Zenitsu, which is why they're at the top of the S tier. And you know, pretty much they have almost a little bit, like they literally need a tiny buff for them, like a one change that would break these characters and put them in another tier, which I'm just about to get into. But yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone can agree with this so far. At least I do. At the end of the day, it is my opinion, but I feel like most of you guys would agree for the most part. But yeah, this is like tournament valuable character. This is where you will see like most of the characters be in the tournaments, and I see these a lot in casual play for the most part. Now it's time to get to the last tier, the S+, which is, I call the monsters, bro. These are the monsters. These are like the game-breaking characters. Not broken, obviously, but these characters are in a tier of their own. They deserve this spot. We got Akaza, Nezuko, Susumaru, and Eden. Now, obviously, when it comes to this tier, I feel like Eden, and Susumaru can be interchangeable. I feel like, you know, it is kind of debatable for the most part. Well, I'll say debatable, especially between Susumaru and Nezuko, because a lot of people still think Susumaru is the second best, which I totally understand. But for me, it's Nezuko is the second best, and these characters are just in the tier of their own. I think we already know Akaza's top one, but I feel like Edi Zenitsu is just a whole different demon. He deserves to be in this spot. If you haven't realized how powerful this character is, I feel like you are just missing out. I feel like it's like, if you're gonna enter any tournaments or any comp scene that decides to come back, of course, you're selling yourself if you're not using Edi Zenitsu. Hopefully, you know, I've been posting a lot of videos, well, not a lot, but most of the videos, and even my latest tournaments using Edi Zenitsu, and I'm pretty sure you guys seen how powerful this character is. So, but if you haven't, make sure you go check out those videos with Edi Zenitsu, because this character is pretty cracked. He deserves to be on this tier. But yeah, this is the monster tier. They have every tool they need. They have the most winning matchups in the game. They probably don't really lose to anyone, each other, to be honest, like that much. Like they just dwarf the other characters in the game. To be honest, I can't see them being on the same tier as any other like character in the game, like the other tiers. So yeah, this is pretty much the final tier list. I think this tier list is perfect. Like I said, I set up this tier list to show basically, like, hopefully you guys can see, like, I don't feel like Edie, Zenitsu and them belong in S tier. I just placed them like, okay, these characters belong in this tier. I don't see them being in the same tier as this character, etc, etc. Hopefully that made sense. But yeah, this is my final tier list, and I feel like, honestly, I feel like it's near perfect. As someone who's a top player, talked to a lot of the other players in the community, I think this is pretty solid. Obviously, there's room to debate, and we could talk about it in the comments below. But thank you guys for watching, and I'm gonna catch you guys in another video.
I be dancing, ain't no time to show no disrespect. Shorty glancing, making all the moves, I'm making checks. Taking chances, showing all the moves while I invest. No extensions, pockets full, paying off my debt. How you gonna lie and still treat me like a threat? Flights catching feelings, yeah, feelings flying next. Not to